Hello, my friends. I hope you're well. We're going to be discussing something openly. It's called the AI paradox. So, essentially, what this is AI is automating a lot of daily life. So, from a business standpoint, as a business owner, if you have employees, they typically, let's take Amazon, an Amazon warehouse, for example, you're going to have people going off sick, you're going to have people resigning, you've got costs of hires, etc. So once the cost of that, for example, people stealing is all factored in, people going off sick, people suing you, that's all factored in their annual reports. And what tends to happen is they factor that in. Let's say that costs, all of those things cost Amazon 1% a year. Once that 1%, which might be, I don't know, 1 billion or 100 million, if the cost of automation is less than the actual cost of everything else, it makes sense to bring in automation. So they could automate pretty much everything. In fact, Amazon, I'm pretty confident they wouldn't have to have any workers, but the cost is still higher. For example, if you've got one worker and it costs you 20 grand a year, but one machine can do their job, but that costs 50,000 a year, you will wait until that cost drops. You'll keep the worker. But for now, Amazon, if you Google Chinese dark factories, so a dark factory is there's no lights on, but the machines are in there working. So they're making cars, they're making everything else. Anyway, so that's the whole point of automation from what I see. Yeah. Now this brings us to a paradox. So if those workers are laid off and they go into another sector and they're laid off from that, etc., there's no jobs. Look at the amount of young people that are saying there's no jobs for them. Like it's, what is it, like 4% of the actual unemployment figures are people that have never worked. And they're young people. I don't know if it's 4%. I'm getting mixed up, but it's a large amount. I think it's 1 in 4, I meant. So 1 in 4 young people aren't working, economically inactive. If they have money, who knows? So it's very different from before because there's machines doing the jobs, the cost of living, everything's come to this in sort of like a fork in the road, so to speak. So you get these people out of work that aren't working. Now, you might say, whatever you think of these people, whether they start their own business, you're forced to start your own business, in fact. But what this brings us to is a paradox. So great, you've automated it, you've made the business more profitable, but on a long-term basis, those people are spending less in the economy. So those products you're making, those people can't actually buy, or the masses can't buy. And therefore, those people are up. Basically, you have to stop production. Your company actually shrinks. So short term, it's good. Long term, it's bad. So you get that labor contraction. Yeah. But the machines aren't going to buy things. The people are. The cycle continues. Anyway, so what then this leads to is an economic contraction. And what that means is the market, everything crashes. And a lot of people are going to be out of work. They haven't got a job. They're selling their houses. The machines are making businesses profitable, a few businesses, but it leaves everyone else in this sort of no man's land. You can't get a job. The companies don't have loads to sell, but there's no one to sell to. So what does that bring us to? And I think what I'm seeing is 3 things. Number 1 is they must give a universal basic income. This must be given. Whether it's you're providing houses for everyone or you're giving some sort of monthly allowance, this is a must. There must be some element of free money to people. And that sounds great. That really does sound great. But if you take that money at some point, you are a slave. Yeah. And there is going to be no middle class. Yeah. We are going to be poor or rich. And I'm making this video so you can kind of see into the future or what I think is coming. There's also some elements of blockchain and crypto. That is also factoring in. I don't know why. I was saying to my wife the other day, why we have a bank account. Before we used to put gold in the bank, and everyone knows this now. But you don't even go and visit a bank. You don't call anyone from a bank. You don't speak to anyone. It's just an app on the phone. that just has a certain amount of money. Do we need banks for consumers like me? We don't. It's just we just need an app that shows how much is in there. A bank doesn't need to exist for me. If there was another app that you could say, okay, that's regulated, you can pay your company dividends and your salary into there, I would do that. I wouldn't use a bank. It's just so much red tape, so much, etc. So I think crypto is going to be a thing. And I think universal basic income is also going to be a thing. But there's also one other element where people getting rich are the people actually making all these AI automation thing. I'm not very big on AI. I'm not bullish on it. I don't think it's going to do well. I haven't invested in any. I haven't looked at starting a business in it. I just think it's a load of rubbish. I think for some areas it's good, but it's basically just automation, I would call it. I wouldn't even call it AI. And I think it's good for certain things. I think it's very overhyped. Anyway, so digressing, I think blockchain, why is the US government looking at Bitcoin? Why are companies buying Bitcoin? It's like the elites know what's going to happen. They're always pushing the same thing at the same time. All different areas, governments, private companies, all these companies are buying Bitcoin. And I'm just baffled at how it's easy to see once you do a bit of research. But I'm genuinely worried about people that are going to lose their jobs and not be able to spend. Like, that's the main thing for me. And reduced consumption might be a good thing. I think capitalism, the way people consume nowadays is totally rubbish. Like, everything is so expensive, but people still manage to find the money. And I don't buy that people don't have any money. Like, people might say, oh, I can't pay the bills and all that. But genuinely, there's no one in poverty in the UK. I can genuinely say that. And no one I know anyway, for sure. And if I did, I'd help them out. And if you say, oh, I know this person like that lives in poverty or can't afford food. I've never heard someone say, I can't afford food. I've got no food. Like, some people are struggling, but the way I see it is, why is no one helping you? And why are you not helping yourself if you can't? That's how I see it. If I was in that position, I would do so. Unless there's obviously circumstances. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on, but I'd love to know everyone's thoughts around the AI aspect. Like, no one looks into the future. Everyone says, oh, it looks great, they're going to automate this and new businesses and all that. But what's the knock-on effect? And if this happens, those companies won't sit idly by. The elites won't sit idly by and say, okay, we've lost everyone. Are they going to reduce the population? That's another thing going into conspiracy theories. And it's just, even with like so many factors factoring in, immigration, why are they bringing in immigrants? To do the jobs that people won't do? Is that the case? Is that the plan? Because it makes no sense to bring loads of immigrants that are just claiming off the government. What is the universal basic income going to look like, if there is even going to be one? Is blockchain and crypto and, like, people say about Bitcoin, it's like, oh, this and that. I've got my theories who created it and blockchain and all that. I think blockchain is quite dangerous, or in the wrong hands, anything can be dangerous. I genuinely think if there is a structure where you can see every transaction recorded and link it back to you, that's even more worrying than the normal bank accounts. Because cash, you can't do that. I wish we can go back to cash. But for now, I wish you all the best and take care.